Hi, everyone. My name is Mena, Mark, Hanna. First of all, a huge thank you to Terry, Charleston's patron saint of PechaKucha, and to Charles in the musical. Tonight, I want to share the sound that stays, and these are the indelible sounds lodged in me, unerasable. I'm Mena Mark Hanna. Mena Mark Philip Fahmi Abdullah Hanna is my full name, but you can just call me Mena. I'm Egyptian. We take our names very seriously. Mine carries my father, grandfather, great grandfather, all the way back. My forefathers were mostly engineers and lawyers. I chose music, a disappointment to them perhaps, but more fun at parties. I was born in London, grew up in New Jersey speaking English, Arabic, and French, which somehow eventually led me to marry a Dubliner who's in the audience. We have two kids, 5 and 3, and an irascible terrier named Agatha Christie. I run the Spoleto Festival, and outside of that, I like cooking, reading, and the Eagles go birds. My my first musical memories were singing Mass as a cantor. I grew up steeped in the Coptic Orthodox Church, that's the native Christian community of Egypt, and as a young child learned to chant in Coptic, a dead language. That's esoteric for sure, definitely, but the sound stays lodged in you. Stasite metovovo theo, acosomen tuagio, evangelio. My childhood was a melting pot of musical influence. I was a Coptic deacon, and I was also a boy soprano in the Philadelphia Boys Choir. I sang at Carnegie Hall, the Sydney Opera House, and even sang the national anthem at Game 6 of the World Series, all before I was 13. My wife likes to say I peaked early. Following my illustrious, short lived career as a performer, I studied music composition and musicology. As an undergraduate, I spent time in Spoleto, Italy. My first visit was in 2005 to premiere a chamber opera, and I would go back frequently for my graduate years as well. Little did I know I'd return to another Spoleto nearly 20 years later. Before Charleston, we lived in Berlin, where I was founding dean of the Barenboim Said Academy, a conservatory for Arabs and Israelis. Berlin is a city of singular musical experiences. Its history hums beneath everything: opera, clubs, concerts. So let's take, for example, this incredible place called Berghain. It's the hardest club in the world to get into. It's the high temple of techno, a decommissioned power plant that's guarded by legendary bouncers. And once you're inside, judgment-free hedonism reigns. You can do whatever you want, and I mean that, whatever you want, as long as you harm no one. There in August 2015, I saw Ebony Bones. She wasn't typical Berghain fare. She wasn't dressed so much as sculpted, styrofoam cubes and neon bracelets. Her sound was Afrobeat meets minimalism, post-punk tangled with electronica, Grace Jones colliding with the Wu-Tang Clan. Her concerts are explosions of noise and color. Berghain, which is usually industrial and monochrome, burst into neon chaos. I was swept into a makeshift supranational society. South Africans, Ghanaians, Lebanese, and assless chaps in skin-tight dresses, convulsing in psycho-spiritual frenzy. Waldbühne is another Berlin icon, an outdoor amphitheater built by the Nazis for the 1936 Olympics. As a kid, I learned that Jesse Owens, the African-American track star, crushed Hitler's myth of Aryan supremacy there by winning 4 gold medals. But of course, those neat childhood stories are always more complicated upon closer examination. Owen said, I came back to my native country and couldn't ride in the front of the bus. I had to go to the back door. I couldn't live where I wanted. I wasn't invited to the White House to shake hands with the president either. So going to Waldbühne, forever in my mind, burdened with the twin association of Nazi Germany and American racism, is a complicated, destabilizing exercise. And it's one I did every summer to hear the West Eastern Divan Orchestra, an ensemble of Arabs and Israelis that was the founding principal of the academy that I helped lead. At the entrance of Waldbühne are 2 massive stone reliefs, male nudes with a sword on the left, the fatherland, female nudes with a lyre on the right, artistic creation. The amphitheater is designed to swallow you whole. It's massive, authoritarian, overwhelming, and Waldbühne embodies Germany's dilemma. How do we do the past? Charleston has its own dilemmas. At my first Spoleto, we premiered Omar by Rhiannon Giddens and Michael Abels. It tells the story of Omar bin Said, enslaved here in 1807, who left an autobiography in Arabic. The sound stays in his voice, and it's carried across bondage and centuries. The director, Kaneza Shawl, understood that Omar's story had to be sung into being. On stage, Arabic letters were strewn across the set, and for me, it was those musical melting pots of my youth returning to Charleston. It was then that I realized that the origin of this country is three continents: North America, Europe, and Africa. That same festival, Jeff Nuttall, our chamber music director, played a hair-raising Haydn quartet with the St. Lawrence Quartet. Jeff basically convinced me to take the Spoleto job, promising vision, creativity, even some mischief. He was almost rebellious, but too nerdy to actually revolt. The Haydn was staggering. It was gritty, grotesque, the hairs of the bow tearing off with violence. This Haydn wasn't Enlightenment era balance. It swooned, it crashed, it caved, and it swelled again. It was Jeff's final musical stand against the pancreatic cancer eating away at his insides. He died the following October. I think of Jeff tearing into Haydn as if the music itself could keep him alive. That's what music is for me: survival, memory, joy. Because music endures where words, monuments, or politics fall short. It's the sound that stays. Thank you very much.